what might be driving this class ceiling. And this was then the focus of the second article that was published in Sociology last year, which looked at how class origin shapes occupational trajectories in one particular occupational field. And I was focusing here on acting. You may have noticed there's been lots of sort of interest in the way in which sort of the British acting profession is seen as being dominated by public schoolboys. So what we wanted to do was sort of interrogate this, and I suppose what it revealed first and foremost is the sort of profound occupational advantages that are afforded to actors who can draw upon the bank of mum and dad. Those with this kind of financial cushion are insulated from much of the precarity associated and the uncertainty associated with acting, both in terms of negotiating cost of living in somewhere like London, where most jobs tend to be clustered, but also in terms of a feeling that they can take more risks, they can spend more time on networking, they can take unpaid work, all of which may have long-term payoffs for their career. But it also wasn't just about money. Among all of the working class actors that we spoke to, there was a strong sense that they'd experienced particular barriers, a sense of snobbery relating to their backgrounds within the occupation, particularly markers like speech and accent, okay, aptly illustrated by Russell Kane's clip there, that they felt set them apart in an industry where actually natural RP pronunciation is considered an industry standard, okay? Speaking with an RP accent is considered to be the neutral voice of the British actor, and where often these working class actors expressed a sense that they were being very heavily typecast into very offensive and caricatured working class roles. So I suppose the thread to summarise that unites these two articles, and I suppose all of my work in the last 5 years, is really the sort of enduring stickiness of our class origins, the fact that individual identities tend to always, in some shape or form, carry the symbolic baggage of their past, and that this history can have very important and powerful implications for how people act, how people feel, but also how people get on in very tangible labour market ways in the present. So why did I choose the journal Sociology for this work? Well, in one sense, the answer is easy. This is probably the most prestigious sociological journal in the UK. Through its circulation among BSA members, it's definitely the most read. And unlike many top journals, I won't mention any names, it also has a reputation for providing useful reviews in a very timely manner. Okay, I don't think we can underestimate the importance of those pragmatic dimensions. But beyond those, I also felt Sociology was a good home for, I suppose, what I felt was a sort of new strand of work on social class and social mobility in Britain. The journal, of course, published our controversial co-authored piece on the BBC Great British Class Survey in 2013. And I think this opened up a space for scholars to explore new ways to think about this topic, particularly using a Bourdieusian lens. But there's also, I think, a drawback to this, and I'd be interested to get other people's thoughts and just throw out as a bit of a provocation here. Part of my frustration when I came into academia was this sense that academics very often work in sort of theoretical and empirical silos, where they use particular journals to communicate to like-minded scholars and ignore journals and work that takes different perspectives. Nowhere is this the case more than in the study of social class and social mobility, where the dominant, I would very much say it is the dominant, international, heavily quantitative community, only publish in certain places like the European Sociological Review or the American Sociological Review. And I believe, I mean, this is my assertion, I'm happy to be, for people to argue with me, actually deliberately snub journals like Sociology because of their perceived qualitative bent, because of their perceived Bourdieu friendliness, and And indeed, John Goldthorpe has recently made a number of swipes at sociology, at the lack of quantitative work in the journal, in his recent book, Sociology as a Population Science, which I think tells you everything you need to know. And he has other colleagues, individuals like Colin Mills, who have also repeatedly questioned and criticised the journal and the use of methods in sociology articles. As I said before, I sort of recently published work deliberately going for the American Sociological Review because really I felt this was one of the only places, one of the rare spaces where I was going to be read by these scholars, which at this point in my career I want very much to have a dialogue with, even if I don't agree with them. So I suppose to finish, my question to the outgoing editors, and I know this is, again, is very much orientated around my interests, but I'm interested in other people's thoughts here if these issues may apply more widely, is it preferable, is it even possible to provide a more provocative intellectual dialogue in the journal by encouraging submissions from more quantitative scholars, like people like John Goldthorpe, who see sociology as a population science, or should it be proud to provide the kind of alternative, the inclusive space that Sasha was talking about? I think from my point of view, I very much want the journal to be inclusive, but it feels to me there is a very powerful community who don't choose very much not to submit. I don't think it's the case that they're submitting articles and they're being rejected. I think they are not submitting articles, and I suppose that for me is a shame, and I'm interested in whether it's possible to change that, and if we think it is even preferable to do so.